Hello, I'm Scott Bogey here with, I'm about to say Felipe Rocha, but that's who you're fighting. I'm here with Myles Bryant, who is fighting Felipe Rocha at Fury Challenger Series 12. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I just got back from strength and conditioning, so we're about 2 weeks out, so I'm feeling good. Just ready to go.
And how has the training camp been for this fight?
Training camp's been good. It's been good. We've been dialing everything in, getting everything together, game planning, whatnot, what we're gonna do, what we're gonna expect in there. So it's been a long camp, about 9 weeks or so, but we're wrapping up on that. So we're doing good. We're feeling good, and yeah, ready to get in there.
And obviously, in your last fight, it was against Trey Kuzkuk, and you
Yeah.
were able to get the guillotine choke in the first round. What have you improved the most since that fight?
Really just the grappling aspect. I am fighting a pretty seasoned grappler. I think Felipe is multiple I think he's won a few championships in jiu-jitsu, so obviously he's very credentialed there. So I'm primarily focusing on just the grappling, the defense, and then just the basics of striking and whatnot. But from my last fight, it's been more so let's polish up on the grappling, let's add some more things to the toolbox in a sense. Because I can grapple too. So we've been working on a lot of things as well in that grappling realm. Given that we are competing and fighting against a pretty well-credentialed grappler.
And do you feel like this is your third fight of the year? Are you liking staying as active as you are?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I was trying to get 4 fights in this year, but didn't quite work out. But three, I'm definitely okay with three. I signed a 4 fight contract with Fury FC, so I'll be fighting another 3 times next year. But yeah, I'm liking the activity. I don't like to stay out too long. But I like to be able to grow as a fighter in between fights. But then again, I like to be back in there as soon as I can.
Now, I'm going to ask you the question. Everyone I've asked so far, they've not been able to answer it. What's the difference between a normal Fury card and the Challenger Series?
You know what? That's honestly a good question. I think the Challenger Series is more so of the newer Fury athletes, I want to say. And it's kind of just getting them, into the realm of Fury. So I from what I've been saying, I think the Challenger Series is for, like I said, the newer signees of
Yeah,
Fury, just to get one foot in through the door. And then, I know they had, I think the previous week was like Fury 98.
nine.
So I
Oh,
think that
yeah.
I think this is more so of the newer bunch of fighters and athletes who are competing for Fury.
Okay.
That's at least what I'm taking from it. But I could be completely wrong, but I think that's kind of what that the Challenger series is compared to Fury 98, 99, so on and so forth.
Because I know, like you're saying, you have got a contract with Fury, a 4 fight deal, and this
Mhm.
is still part of that, one of those fights. So I wasn't too sure what the main difference was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I,
how
I did
has
notice that. I did notice that as well. I was like, Challenger Series. I wonder what that is. But I think that's I think it's for us newbies in Fury. So yeah.
and when are you wanting to get back into the cage after the fight, as long as injuries are not
Yeah.
an issue?
So I know they have a card in January. January will be awesome. But if
Yeah.
not January, I would definitely love to do like March. So I would say early in the year, January, February, or March of next year, going into the spring. So obviously we don't like the just injuries and whatnot, recouping and whatnot. So November 22nd, December. Yeah, I'd say about February or March would be ideal for me. I know Fury is very well with putting on shows, and they don't take too long to get another show going. So yeah, honestly, as soon as possible, I'd like January, February, or March, somewhere around that area.
And do you feel one of the reasons that drew you with Fury is it because of you can see that progression with the USC. You can
Hmm.
see, I think it was 12 athletes went into the contender series
Yeah.
just this year. So you can
Hmm.
see that path.
Hmm. Yeah, I've been wanting I've been wanting to fight for one of these one of these bigger promotions for a while, and just to get my name out there, just to compete
Yeah.
once or twice or so, for whether it be Fury, whether it be Cage Warriors, whether it be LFA, any of these prime time UFC Fight Pass promotions I've been wanting to compete for because obviously that's the level I want to get to. And Fury, especially in the States, they're the top of the top as well as LFA, CFFC, and all those other ones. So with the amount of athletes that they do send to the UFC, it's this is big, this is huge, and it's a step in the right direction for sure.
And do you feel like, from what I've just seen, Fury do match their opponents up very well. They're not going to give you an easy fight. Just in the last one, you had Damian Anderson and Wanderelli, both UFC caliber athletes,
Mm-hmm.
fight each other. So they're
Right.
not, and for your fight, you're coming up against a 1-0 prospect as well. So they're
Mm-hmm.
not going to give you an out of the box fight.
Right. That's the best thing about this promotion, I feel like, is that they are giving you these tough fights. That way, when you do get to that next level, you're prepared for it. I think Felipe Rocha is the perfect matchup for me. Just dealing with his credentials already in itself,
Yeah.
and it's not going to be an easy fight, and we're not looking for easy fights. We're looking to fight the baddest guys around. That way, when we do get to that next level, we're comfortable and we're prepared because a lot of these guys who Fury are matching with, they are UFC caliber, or they have fought in the UFC before, and they got cut and they're back in Fury. So Fury, you're fighting the best of the best, and I think that only sharpens the athlete who is looking to go to that next level. And that's another reason why that I'm super excited for this opportunity and the fact that I do have a prolonged contract with them because I know that I'm fighting the best guys in the regional scene for me to be sent to that next level.
And for you, that four fight deal, does it give you a bit of stability? You know you're going to have those four fights.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can't tell you um, how crazy it is just looking to fight for
Yeah,
just fight once for promotion. I call it promotion hopping. You're pulling teeth trying to get a fight for a specific time of year and you can't get it. One falls through, and then you're scrambling trying to connect to another promotion. This is a lot. This is a breath of fresh air because I know after this one we've got three more with also a chance to get another four-fight contract after this
yeah.
four-fight one is done. So it's a breath of fresh air. It's a weight off my shoulders because I know that myself, my manager, my team, we don't have to scramble around trying to find events for me to compete in. We have a basis, we have a foundation. We know that we have three fights for this part of the year, this part of the year, and this part of the year. So it gives us a lot more insight, and like I said, it takes a weight off of us for sure. So that's another great thing about this. Especially fighting in the regional scene here, it's really tough, especially to book fights and get in contact with promotions and whatnot, trying to just to get something going. So this is also where we were ecstatic that we were initially going into this fight thinking it was just going to be like a one and done, maybe
Yeah.
just one, and then we'll discuss it furthermore. And then they proposed, hey, let's just do four. So that was like awesome. Let's do it.
Just hand me the pen immediately.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Where do I sign? Yeah. Absolutely.
Am I correct in saying that you currently train under Stars and Strikes?
Yes. Yep. Yep. So I split my time in between Stars and Strikes here in Westland, Michigan, and then I also do my grappling at Ronaldo Candido, which is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy in Novi, Michigan. So one of the most credentialed Jiu-Jitsu practitioners in the state of Michigan, Ronaldo Candido. He fought in the Ultimate Fighter. He's trained Jose Aldo. He's competed at the top of the top. So he's an amazing professor.
And what do you feel like has been the biggest thing for your development from these?
Honestly, yeah, I would say every aspect of martial arts, when it regards to boxing, wrestling, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu especially. Um, if you ask anybody, I would not have picked myself to win by submission in my last fight at all.
Yeah.
So honestly, sharpening up on every aspect and dividing my time and focusing my time on every single art form, I really think that's more so the thing that I focus on. Um, and not just focusing on one thing primarily. So just sharpening up every aspect, every tool that I can. That's kind of how I get everything going. So yeah, it's been good. The training's been good. I have been primarily, like I said, focusing on the grappling a lot more heavier just due to the circumstances, but that's kind of how we go about it.
And you didn't have a very long amateur career. I think it was
Mhm.
4 fights, going 2-2.
Yeah.
What was the decision that made you turn pro? Were it just your coaches just saying you're ready, struggling to find
Mhm.
fights?
Trouble finding fights on the amateur scene. If a lot of things happen, it's very messy. So guys not showing up to weigh-ins, pulling out, and it was to the point where I think it was like 2 or 3 fights in, and we were like, hey, like we gotta get something because initially I was wanting to do about 6 or 7 Emmys.
Yeah,
I had 4 or 5 scheduled, and all were pullouts, and it was at the point in time where, especially in Detroit, Michigan, guys my size, it's kind of hard to find fights in events. So all of my fights, well, my 4 fights, I've had to travel outside of Michigan, to Ohio, to Kentucky, to Iowa. So it was a discussion that I really had to, well, I really had to sit down with my coaches, and say, hey, like we've had 4 fights pulled this year, and that it's been months now that I haven't gone without a fight. So we decided to go pro, because with the pro level you're more so guaranteed to compete than some ridiculous thing happening like a guy not showing up to weigh-ins or a guy pulling out 2 days beforehand, you know what I mean? So that was ultimately the decision that kind of pushed me to go pro. Is I'm not getting any younger, so
yeah.
I and getting ready for fights, it's expensive as well. So 4 or 5 pullouts, that's 6, 7, 8 months of training, eating right, doing this and that. It takes a toll. So that was the biggest decision, to go pro. And obviously, with that, it's also being confident in myself to take that next step, which I definitely felt at that time. So yeah, here we are, going into my third pro fight, which is kind of crazy to think of. And it was a really good decision for me because had I not done that, I would have been probably still twiddling my thumbs trying to get amateur fights. So that's kind of the direction we took.
Now, I know Fury is based in Texas.
Mhm.
However, how would it feel to eventually be able to fight in Michigan?
Uh, I would like to do it at least once or twice. I will say that, having the opportunity to fight in other places has made me more comfortable to fight in other places.
Yeah,
A lot of athletes that I have come across, they're just comfortable fighting at home. One, they can sell tickets, and two, they're at home, so they're somewhere comfortable. I feel like that I'm at an advantage because I fought in other guys' backyards from like in all the competition that I've gone in. So and people don't know, but I've lived in Texas for 5 years. So this is the homecoming for me as well. I have friends and family who are in Texas, who are going to be there as well. I went to school right down the street from Houston. So I'm fighting at home. This is my homecoming as well. So um, I don't feel, under pressure at all. I actually feel I'm excited. This is the first time I've actually said that I'm excited to compete, simply because I spent 5, 6 years of my life in Texas, right down the street from Houston. So yeah, this I wouldn't say this is I wouldn't say that this is a I'm not going to this guy's backyard. I'm going home. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. In Michigan, I would like to fight maybe once or twice. That'd be cool. But I'm not overly pressed on fighting here, honestly. I actually enjoy traveling for my competition, for my fights. So yeah, it's good. And like I said, I think it gives me an edge and an advantage to fight in places that I'm not comfortable. You know what I mean? If you're fighting somewhere, if you're fighting at home, your whole fight career has been right down the street from where you live, and then eventually you have to leave. How are you going to be able to adapt to that? Because you've just been so acclimated and situated in one spot. So I think it makes me more um, diverse, I think I could say, and just more susceptible to traveling and being okay with it.
And like you said, you should have a good crowd there supporting you.
Mhm.
How does the crowd affect you as a fighter? Do you just try to block it out, or?
What's crazy? I don't hear them. I don't hear them. I don't notice them. Obviously, when I'm walking out and walking to the cage, I do. But once I'm
Yeah.
in there, I'm in there. I don't hear anything outside of my corner. Um, it's all just white noise. It's all just in the background because I'm so just honed in and dialed into what's at stake and who I'm competing. with in there. So the crowd, yeah, it doesn't phase me. I hear them when I'm walking out, but once the ref says you're ready to fight, you're ready to fight, it all just goes away. I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, crowds don't affect me. Now, maybe it'll be different when I'm fighting in front of, I don't know, 20, 30,000 people. But with the smaller promotions, few hundred people, it doesn't phase me.
And with your corner, do you guys come up with like code words for certain moves? So when you're at the fight, they just
Mhm.
shout the code word so the opposition doesn't know what you're meaning.
Yeah, yeah. So we typically do that. It'll be crazy stuff like peanut butter and jelly or
Yeah,
elevator or yeah. So we do have some code words because when a guy's screaming 1 2, then I mean obviously I kind of know
yeah.
what's coming. So yeah, we do have some phrases like Tina Turner or Eiffel Tower or like escalator. We do have some things, and I know what that means. Um, I envy guys who speak other languages because I speak German as well, but I don't have any German corpsmen. So I know if I had like German corpsmen, it'll be a lot easier. But when I'm fighting someone who speaks English, yeah, we definitely we throw in some stuff in there to kind of negate that 1 2 3 throw leg kick. All right, I'm expecting it. So yeah, I think every corner should have their own little twist to things that their fighter and the cornerman can understand and implement.
And I saw on your profile it is the Germany flag, and I saw Stuttgart as well. Just
Mhm.
explain a bit more about that.
Yeah, so I grew up in Stuttgart, Germany. Stuttgart and Kaiserslautern. My mother was military, so I spent the majority of my youth in Germany, and I didn't leave Germany until I graduated from high school to come to the States to go to college. So Germany is home. My parents still live there. My little brother lives there. And every time when I go home, I go back to Deutschland. So yeah, it's a place where I'm comfortable. It's a place that we've grounded, and it's a place that I've been in since I was 10, 11 years old. So yeah, that's kind of where I grew up and where I came about. And yeah, that's Germany's home for me. And then yeah, like I said, after high school, I moved to the States, went to college, and yeah, so here we are. But yeah, that's where I spent all of my years in Germany. So
And how did you get into MMA?
so well, backtracking in high school, I was kind of dabbling in it, not so MMA, but just grappling and wrestling.
Yeah,
I would just do it every here and there, recreational. The wrestlers at my school, after school, they would go to a gym and they would wrestle and grapple and do jujitsu. And one day they asked me, "Hey, do you want to come try this out?" Yeah, sure, why not? I'm not doing anything. So I went, did it, and kind of liked it. But then again, it wasn't anything routine. It was just every here and there. Now, fast forwarding after college, I played American football in college. Afterwards, I was like, okay, what the heck do I do now? Because I've been playing this sport for so long, and coming to an abrupt stop with being an athlete is kind of hard. So I discovered a MMA gym about 45 minutes away. And I think after class, I drove down. And it's people don't understand how overwhelming and crazy it is when you enter a combat sports gym for the very first time. Like you're very like this is overwhelming. So I drove down, said, "Hey, I just want to try one of your free classes." I think at the time they had like a free week trial. You can get a feel for
yeah,
it. And the night that I went, it was jujitsu in the gi. So it's okay, I don't know what this stuff is. I don't know what I'm doing here and
yeah.
whatnot. So they lend me a gi. I get up there and I just get wrecked for an hour and a half. I'm talking just folded into a pretz. It was very, very humiliating. But at the same time, I was like, this was fun. So I kept showing up, kept showing up, kept showing up. And then eventually I started doing the kickboxing classes, the boxing classes. And then next thing you know, I'm having a smoker fight in Houston. And then it just kind of took off from there. I just kind of fell in love with it, with the lifestyle of it as well. Everything just wasn't in the gym. It was how I conducted myself outside of the gym as well that I just completely fell in love with. And I just figured, you know what, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can try this. And one of my best friends in college, he's a huge MMA fan. And he's like, yeah, you should try this. And at first, it's like, I'm not doing this crap. Like, this is insane. And here we are. So yeah, it was just I tried it on a whim and I fell in love with it. And I think it was the best decision that I've made. And I've from the time that I started that first day to now, it's been incredible with the highs and the lows. You know, they say in MMA it's the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And I don't think any other sport emulates that except besides this. So that's kind of how I got started with it.
And like you're saying, you did do American football in college. Has that helped your game? Because obviously you are having to break down the teams to get the game plan. And now, instead of having a full team of people you have to break down, it is just one.
Hmm. Yeah, so it's a lot of it's different well obviously it's different, but how I do it is I am such a well I think this is another positive, but I'm a fan of the sport. Like when I watch UFC belts or when I see cards, I'm more so watching and studying tendencies of the fighters. So I think my biggest attribute is being able to break down fighters or tendencies and whatnot, just like how I would do. And I studied film with a room full of football players. It was the same exact thing with tendencies and whatnot. So a lot of the tactics that I use there, I still do now. And I'm very big on writing, ink on paper. So when I am watching, you know, for instance, my opponent, I'm writing down things on paper. I'm reading these and I'm reading it's studying. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I'm doing homework. So I'll, you know, I have my remote. I'm hitting rewind. I'm pausing. I'm looking at movements. I'm looking at footwork. I'm looking at how this person is shifting his body weight, and I'm writing all these things down, pen on paper, and I'm starring things that I primarily have to focus on. These are things that I've been practicing since, you know, football and things of that nature. So a lot of the things I did there, it mirrors the same exact thing I'm doing now, and it's been very helpful. I think the biggest thing that people kind of don't do as much is film study. Now, another thing about that, you know, you can watch a fighter compete 6, 7 months ago, but then he's growing those, you know, he's that whole entire time too.
Yeah.
So you can get a basis, but you still have a foundation. So yeah, a lot of the things that I did when I did film study playing football, I'm doing the exact same thing now. Obviously, it's a very much different because they're two different sports, but I'm very heavy and very keen on studying film. That's just, I've always been like that. Always been like that.
And then obviously what was big for Frankfurt is they were the first for with Octagon open stadium arena. How big do you feel like how are we going to do one of them in the future?
Um, Honestly, like just like the openness of the arena
Yeah.
and whatnot. I don't, you know, a lot of that stuff you know, it's crazy. It doesn't faze me. My last fight was in a barn in Ohio. Like it was, you know what I mean? Like the venue, I fought in a an auction room for cattle. So I'm very adaptable, and I think that a lot of that comes from my background as well with having my having a soldier for a mom. Is anywhere you go, you just have to adapt to it. So I don't, yeah, I'm not too phased by it. No, I'm not too phased by it, or wouldn't be too phased by it rather.
Well, that sounds great, and I know you'll go out there, get that victory, and we'll be able to speak ahead of your next big fight as well. Is there anything else you're wanting to add or anyone you're wanting to shout out?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, my coaches, my gym, my teammates, they've been amazing. And we genuinely have a family in our gym. I think that's the biggest thing. That is an attribute to fighters is having that family oriented gym. So big shout out to my teammates, my coaches, my manager, of course, who was able to get me this opportunity, and then also the sponsors who have helped me and supported me throughout this whole fight camp. And the biggest thing is my family. It's been fight camps are tough, and you have to have, you know, as individual as it may seem, it is a team affair. So my family, my coaches, my manager, my teammates, they're my big tribe. So big shout out to them.
Well, thank you for coming on. I know you'll go out there, get the victory, and put on a great performance. Thank
I
you again.
appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.